the Delta, the first, the inaugural, the maiden. We can come up with so many other synonyms. Delta Broadcast Conference. And I like the fact that this event is about broadcasters. We know ourselves when we hear ourselves. Isn't that correct? I mean, you've listened to all of these fine speeches delivered in English that doesn't hurt your ears. So please, once again, a round of applause for yourselves. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how is Ogunyusu from Delta? And perhaps from Delta than many more of you are. But you know, I think it was Finest that was saying something, or was it Rookie? It was Rookie in his speech that was saying, we have now developed a refrain that says, Delta, no they carry last. You know the beautiful thing about Delta State? In the area of broadcast and entertainment, not only do we not carry last, we come first. We come first. Just check it out. In the area of the private sector of media, who are those that are currently leading? Who owns Arise News? Who owns Channels Television? I've said Arise first because he's directly from Delta. My boss, my chairman, Dr. John Momo, he is from Edo State. And I think it was only recently I was talking with Senator Oshomole, and he was talking about how the broadcast space is dominated by Edo people. He was very specific. My in-laws, they are my in-laws. I'm married to a man from Edo State. He was saying that they're dominated by Edo people. So I said, see Channels. Channels is owned by Dr. John Momo. He's from Edo State. AIT. I mean, Sayedu will know about it. The late Dr. Dokwesi, Chief Dokwesi, God bless him, is from Edo State. And now also joining the scene, I had to remind him, I said, in the days of Bendel, Uncle, he said, hey, when you now join Bendel, when you now go Bendel, we dominate the space. And it is not for nothing. I think we should own that with pride. And so I have to say to you, Rookie and Mr. Samuel Fejoku and your wonderful team that has conceptualized this, you guys have done awesome. So a round of applause for that. I know how it was for Rookie to be able to reach me, and when they say it took months of planning, I don't know how much longer it had taken before they contacted me sometime in January. And how every month he'll keep tabs and say, it's May, oh, it's May 16. And I knew that, oh, Maokwe, you have committed to something that you cannot miss. But I dare say that I am indeed very proud and happy to be a part of this gathering. Asaba holds a very special place for me. The last time I was here, it was a thing of honor. I was here for the Sun Awards. They were holding an award and a conference, and I was being honored as a female journalist. The media had invited me, as another media house had invited me to be given an honor. Today, again, how many years after, I'm being invited by my colleagues. So I know that this prophet has honor in our own home. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to tell you very quickly. Yes, for those who are wondering how am I affiliated with Delta, I grew up in Warri. I spent my primary school years, my secondary school years. I went to Catholic Uwe Nursery and Primary School in Warri, Delta State. Shortly after that, I went to two primary schools. Hilltop Nursery and Primary School is in Ejaba. And then in secondary school, I went to the prestigious, I have to say that with respect, the prestigious Delta Steel Company Technical High School. If my people are here, please let them say hi. I see you there. Growing up here, my parents lived here for many years of their lives. They owned homes in this place before they eventually retired back to Lagos, where I am originally from. But when you spend that much of your formative years in this place, you cannot but identify and say that this is where I'm from. So when I like I'm no like I'm from Delta State. Anyways, Honorable Commissioner, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being a part of this conference and representing very ably His Excellency Governor Sharif Oworewori. Thank you. Please, let us be teaching them how to pronounce that name. It's very important. I was going to start, to be very honest, I had the idea to sing a few songs because, as they said, you know, you cannot talk about Delta without talking about the religion it practices. And it's one of the ways I remember my formative years in this place. But knowing that time is fast spent, I might as well just jump to the topic. And maybe I'll just hail all of us. Urobo Wado. I know it's a Dende house. Isoko Wado. Asaba. Anyama Wado. Another here. Ijo Wado. Delta Broadcasters Wado. Now thank you. Wekubirie kagena. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. I have been given the topic to speak this morning, and I'm not going to take a lot of your time because this is something that we all know very much about. I've been asked to speak on creativity in broadcast media industry. How can Delta broadcasters be creative? That's the topic that I have been given to speak on. I've decided to modify it a little and modified it to beyond the script, creativity as a catalyst in modern journalism. So that is what I'm going to be speaking to, and I'm going to be speaking largely from my experience. I realize that, you know, when we give topics sometimes, it's not so that I will come and lecture you people. No, I'm talking about something you already do. Something that you know more about than perhaps anybody else does. Creativity. Because that's the space in which the media, it lives, it eats, it operates, it survives. Creativity is a survival tool in the media space. So without much ado, I'm going to say that it is an honor to stand before fellow journalists, storytellers, and truth seekers. I'm going to take you back to a moment when, one of the things I'm known for is co-anchoring Sunrise Daily, which a program I've been on now for about 15 years or so. But one of the programs which I was given to start with, to create and, come up with the concept around it was called Hard Copy. I don't know how many of you have seen Hard Copy. It usually airs on Friday nights at 8:30 p.m. I recently, gave away my baby. But as I tell my friends, I said the baby could already talk, could already walk, and was already running. And at some point you have to realize that perhaps it's time for other assignments. And so that's basically what I did. But Hard Copy was one of the things that really challenged my thinking, my creativity as a broadcaster. I didn't want to do a program titled Hard Copy because I felt that it put me on the spot. I had developed a reputation in the media as someone who asks hard questions. I did not deliberately set out for my questions to be hard or difficult. They just came. Sunrise Daily was a live program. It was not scripted. Whenever it is you're asking questions, basically, follow-up questions are usually the most difficult. So someone can tell you, oh, please send me, you want my principal to come, or you want my guest to come, please send me your questions. You send questions happily ahead, because you know that the key questions, the ones that actually define the interview, are not the first questions you ask. It is the follow-up. That's the secret. so, I mean, I was always the third anchor. There were two guys, two main guys, and then, the third anchor. The third anchor had the uphill task of listening critically to the responses being given and coming up every day with deeper questions that went beyond the surface of the answers that were being given. And I think that was how I developed my reputation as one who asked difficult questions. Now, here I was being given a new program. My boss thought, okay, you have been doing this for a while now, and everyone says, oh, this girl is really tough. Maybe she should have her own program, and it should be titled Hard Copy. I didn't want that. But at the same time, I knew that I wanted to have conversations that were meaningful. And so I had to find a way to reframe that program, never mind the title of the program. I had to find a way that reframed the program in such a way that made my guests comfortable to come to talk to me, and at the same time made it meaningful enough to have the conversations. I don't know how many people know Hard Talk, the BBC program that has recently been arrested. How many people? Please, we have to watch international media. It's very important. Fantastic. I had to find, will I say, a middle ground between looking at some of the programs that aired internationally, while also putting into cognizance the resource that was available to us back home, what I really wanted to style my program after. And so I decided to go with Amanpour, because I thought she embodied what it was that I would like to do. I wanted it to be free to as many people as possible. I wanted it to be hard if need be. I wanted it to be soft. I wanted it to be relatable. That was what I wanted for Hard Copy. And so I decided, but in all of these situations, if I was talking to an actor, fine, we had a frank conversation. So in my own way of reframing the program, I decided that at every beginning, I would say, hello and welcome to Hard Copy, coming to you from hello and welcome to another evening of frank conversation on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. It was always from Abuja. So frank was what underlined the conversation that I was going to be having. Whether I was speaking with an entrepreneur, whether I was speaking with an actor, whether I was speaking with a governor, a minister, whoever it was that I was bringing on my program, it was about having a frank discussion. And I think that for me, that now helped me have as many people as I wanted to, because I didn't want a situation where I was boxed, where I was handicapped. And if this person wasn't this, then the person was not a fit for my show. I wanted as many Nigerians, as many people from different walks of life as possible to be on that program. So I'll say to you that framing is very important in creativity. It's a key ingredient in creativity. And we already know that. So I've just given the example of how this has happened for me in the course of my own storytelling life. And I think that is something that you should also find for yourself. How do you frame your programs? What exactly is the underlying frame? I'm looking for another word now for that frame. Can't seem to find it. But I hope you get what I'm talking about. Is anyone following me? Thank you very much. So framing is extremely very important. How we present our facts. As they say, creativity is what turns numbers into narratives, statistics into stories. An example you're already too aware of, when we're talking about the price of Gary, every time the NBS releases figures and says inflation is at 27%, is at 30%, you know what the price of Gary is saying. You simply go to a market woman and you ask her, Madam, how much was this Gary last year? She tells you. How much is the Gary today? She tells you. And you know that that already explains inflation to the everyday person in a way that they can relate with better than reeling out figures from the National Bureau of Statistics. Is anyone following me? Thank you very much. So framing is very important. Creative questioning is another area I'm going to be telling you about, which is an area that, I mean, when people ask me, Mark, what do you do for a living? I say I ask questions for a living. Yes, well, it basically summarizes most of what I have done in my career. But even in that, being able to ask questions is not just about putting a mic to somebody's mouth and saying, what do you do? Tell us about yourself. It's more than that. You have to have done your research. In some instances, you might not know much about the person. So for instance, if you're finished from this event now and you're about to just do your, what they call that now, maybe PTC, or you're about to just do some questions after the program with people of interest. You don't have to know much about them, but you have to ask yourself, why do I want to interview this person? What has piqued my interest about this person? Those are the kinds of things that should frame the questions that you ask, that should inform the sort of questions that you ask the person. That's the way that the creative side of you will be reflected, even in the manner of questions that we ask. So creative questioning, I'll give you a very, very everyday example. I'm thinking of how many interviews that I have done in my life. And sometimes when I just sit down to do the math, I think the last time I wrote a bio, I said I'd done over 3,500 interviews at the minimum. 3,000, because if you're doing interviewing 3 people on an average on a daily basis, think about that over a period of, say, 50 weeks. Maybe there are 53 weeks in a year. Okay, let's just even be modest and even say 45 weeks. You're not there every day. Just do the maths and see what you come up with. You surprise yourself just how frequently, how many people you've spoken to as a broadcast journalist. We take these things for granted. How we do it is very important. Creative questioning, getting to the human angle side of things, the part of it that makes it relatable. Listening with intent to follow up much later. Some of the questions that we have that have gone viral, the answers have made people laugh or reflective, or those have come from creative questioning. I remember one which I did with one of the ones that's very popular is Oga at the Top. If you go and see what was happening with that one, it was it was unprecedented. But one interview that went viral did not make people laugh, but made people reflect, was one interview I did with Senator Ibrahim Mantu. Is this what you are admitting to? Because the entire interview had happened. He had said it, he had insinuated it, but it wasn't clear as far as I was concerned. It was something that you could easily miss. The creative side of you can go back and say, sir, as respectfully as possible, let's be clear on this. I could have gone deeper and said, at that point in time, how do you feel now? Thinking back about what it is that you did, how do you feel admitting to that before the Nigerian people, that you subverted their votes? It might be a bit difficult, especially when the TV is not live, because they can start to beg you that you should please cut out those parts. But I tell you that creativity in questioning comes when you key into yourself, key into what the person in front of you is telling you, and an angle that you think that people who are listening to this conversation, or even you yourself as a Nigerian listening, would really want to hear more about. Those are the parts that, bring out empathy, the parts that are relatable, the part that make us all pause and reflect. So creative questioning comes in many ways, but I would say that intentionality is one of the places where we can start from. Intentionality to that is key. In the speeches that have been given at the beginning of this conversation, we've spoken to the use of multimedia, the fact that we now have to speak fluently on almost all the platforms that we use. We know that if we do not speak, what will work for mainstream media will not work for social media. And that broadcasters of today must be flexible enough, must be adaptable enough, must be fluent enough in the languages that these different platforms speak. So that is another area that I would like us to look at. I've talked about creative framing, creative questioning, and right now we're talking about the creative use of platforms. Are we following? Are we still on the same page? So let us not poo-poo, because let us be very honest with ourselves. Our mainstream broadcast media has been disrupted. The advent of the internet, the advent of being able to upload videos on social media, the advent of a platform like YouTube. Just a few days ago, I was talking with someone who works with MultiChoice. MultiChoice is the owner of ZODIAX TV. And they were talking about how the existence of YouTube is a threat to their business. The advent of social media, Instagram, and the fact that everyone can now do a podcast is a real threat, is a real and present danger to the existence of our business. So we mustn't take that for granted. But while that might be a threat to mainstream media and owners, it shouldn't be a threat to the practitioners. That's the broadcasters themselves. Because you guys know more about content creation than those who have just happened upon it. Am I right or I'm wrong? The question is, how are you adapting to what it is that people want to watch? You're not you're not funny, you're not the comedian, that's not what you do for a living. But how are you making sure that people are aware of the issues? I mean, our primary duty as broadcasters is to inform, to educate, and to what? Entertain. If information is the primary reason why, is the primary area where you specialize, you have to do it in an entertaining way. It is part of the creativity that comes into it. How are we making sure that we're bringing that to bear on the different platforms that we belong to? Is anyone following me? So if, for instance, you're a news person, I will be very honest with you. I'm still struggling to speak the language on X. I'm struggling. Because I find that you have to find a different way, to communicate to the people on that platform. People on that platform, what do they say they like? Huh? They like what? Violence, exactly. That's the language of Twitter. I was not taught the language of violence in broadcast. But you do not have to speak that language. That I can tell you. If you are known as a person who is, I'm looking for the word now. If you're a person who is polite, and that is what you know how to, that's the only language you know how to communicate in, and you decide that this is going to be your platform, you will have your followers. Because not everybody is looking for violence. There are those who just want the news and they want to move on. That's why almost all the news medias, the news organization, the news media are on that platform, regardless of what it is that people say. And I think that even Twitter is beginning to, X is beginning to realize that, violence is becoming a thing that is discouraging the quality of the kinds of people that they want to see on that platform. So what they have done is that they've given us power, they've given users on that platform power over who can reply to what it is that they say. So let's make use of it. If you know how to communicate effectively in very short words, you do not have to subscribe. You don't have to have a blue tick. If you want to have a blue tick, that's up to you. But by all means, learn to speak the language. And those who are very good with the cameras, they're anywhere. They've taken a shot. They're anywhere. They've taken a shot. I'm not much like that. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best now to be more like that because I realize that is, if I don't speak that particular language, I will fade into irrelevance. That is the truth. There are people who are looking for you on that platform, and you have to show up. And that's why you see, sometimes you put one post and you see like 100 people like it. You'll be like, oh, they're looking for me. Sometimes my first instinct is to want to hide under the table. But hey, it's what you do. If you do not fill up that space, somebody else who doesn't have half the information you have, or a quarter of the information that you have, will fill up the space. So own your space. Learn the languages for those platforms and speak it. Tell them that you not only speak on broadcast media where they know you, on TV and radio, but that you can also be good on those platforms as well. Am I communicating with somebody here? So by all means, let us learn to speak the languages of our different audiences and on the different platforms. I'll also talk to you about creative resilience, which is another area I'm sure we all know about it. How many of us here have booked guests and they did not show up? What do you do? Does your program fail? Program is not allowed to fail. Show must go on. That's our mantra. Isn't that correct? So these are the different ways. As I said, I'm not talking to you about something that you don't already know. You know it. You know it. So apply it. Don't get discouraged. Apply it on a consistent and a daily basis. There was one time, I'll tell you what happened. Well, that time, hard copy was still live. It was one of the reasons why I said, look, I beg, I don't have the adrenaline for this live show. I beg, it's giving me too much anxiety. Where you'll be expecting a guest is 8 o'clock, your guest is not yet here. 8:15, the guest is not here. The program is to go live at 8:30. 8:25, the guest is not yet here. Meanwhile, the program is all about the guest. So here I was at 8:27, the guest was not yet there. 8:30, and channels does not joke. The moment it is 8:30, your montage is rolling. Madam, what are you going to put there? The guests are still not shown up. I had to quickly drag two of my colleagues. At that time, Shewon Okimbaloye just finished his program, and my colleague, Lanre Lasisi, just finished his program as well. I was going to be talking to, I think it was a woman APC leader. At that point, they were having a convention, and it was supposed to talk about women in politics, how women fared in their last convention. And somehow, she just did not show up on time. So I dragged two of my colleagues. Shewon was there, the political correspondent. I dragged Lanre Lasisi. He has covered the National Assembly for many years. And I put the two of them on my program. Both of them stood. I stood in front of them. And I asked them the questions I would have posed. They gave me the answers. We had a really good show. Nobody called me to query me. I didn't get a query. And I communicated. And the show was a success. It was not what I planned, but it was something had to happen. The show had to go on. I'm sure that you can give numerous examples from your own experience of how you have shown creative resilience. So sometimes it's about putting a name to what it is that you do on a daily basis. All right? And then, lastly, this is the last one, the tools that we use. We must learn to apply those tools creatively. They spoke about digital technology. We all know digital technology. We know the power of this phone, this mobile device. We know the power of our iPads, etc., etc. What we're now being told is the power of AI, artificial intelligence. How many of us dread artificial intelligence? How much do you know about it? Can I see your hand up? How many of us are already beginning to use it? I like it. Sorry? On what? It's not easy. Well, it's supposed to make your job easier. How many of us are afraid of it? How many of us fear that it can take our jobs? A few days ago, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it was TVC that mentioned that they have launched their first AI anchors. Did anybody see that? Were you afraid when you saw that? You're not afraid? I like una mind, I swear. Oh, well, I mean, these were clones, actual clones of some of their broadcast personnel, of their broadcasters, who could speak different languages. So right now, they're going to be having anchors delivering the news in Hausa, in Igbo, in Yoruba, perhaps also in Pidgin English, I'm not sure. I saw that online. I think I also saw colleagues writing that the NBC would need to step into that space as well to see how they can regulate the use of AI anchors. I don't know what shape or form that is going to take, but clearly when we start these things, we have to think through the consequences. But while we're wondering how that is going to pan out, and I like the fact that you people are not afraid, what I would like to say is that AI for now, is a tool that can help us. How many of us know how to use ChatGPT? Fantastic. Now, ChatGPT is not meant to take the place of your brain. It is meant to assist you in the thinking that you come up with. Ask it anything, run the questions by it again. If it writes an essay for you, make sure you go through it, check the facts, know how to pronounce what it is that it has given to you, and then own it. It will only give you what you put into it. So you put in garbage, what do you get? Garbage in, garbage out. You're correct. You put in something that has sense, what does it give you? It will give you sense. It will return sense to you. So, dear fellow broadcasters, we now know that creativity is not decoration. It's not something that we have to worry and really fret about when we think of creativity. It's what we do. It's who we are. We are creatives. So let us not be afraid to imbibe. I don't know, I think there's just one last thing I'm going to say as I wrap up, is that, and I heard Ruki, mention this in his speech. I also heard Mr. Sam Ifijoku also.
For community radio stations. Expand our audience reach. We've talked about digital platform. Can our state launch the app we call Delta Network or Portal, where local broadcasts can stream live nationwide? Also, let's look at the collaborative syndication efforts. Even we as broadcasters and media practitioners, we also have our challenging moments. There is no collaboration between most of the radio stations in Delta states, and it is not healthy. Everybody seems to be on their own, doing their own thing. We can form alliance with stations, even with stations in other regions where the government officials, the business people, where they run to. We can form alliance with them and also exchange programs where we can showcase our own Delta content across Nigeria and across the world. Of great note to me, I would have loved to ask this question. His Excellency the Governor, his program, which is the Mo program, how many stations have some of all this content that's regularly playing in their stations? Question, please. I don't want to answer me. Grow and retain talent. We have university. I'm so glad to even get to know that Dennis Osadebe University, they are here. We have Delta State University and some private institutions, that offer degree and diploma. Now, as radio station in Delta State, how many of our stations here are actually taking most of them for internship? Majority of the stations always decline. Majority. You only take those people you just want to take, while others can go to somewhere else. That's wrong. We have to change that tide. Mentorship. We came in here excited, meeting some of our friends, those we've not met for years. Those who are retired, but they are not friends, sitting very close to me. I said, you are retired, but you cannot be tired. Because we need people like them, for training and also for pep talk. We need things like this. And also where we can pair experienced professionals Whether they live here in Delta or they have root like I'm up there here, and also for emerging broadcasters. One-stop media center that looking at streamlining and also regulation locally. We can advocate for consolidated licensing office within the states, where permit for shooting, live links, frequency used can be handled in a single visit. And also, we can also appeal to the government for a task force for media investment. It can be set up with committees, people from government, broadcast industry, civil society representative, to identify bottlenecks and provide solutions to some of all this. Also, we can create incentives. Government can create incentives for staying local. Tax break, rebates, offer reduced state tax or rebates on training costs for broadcasters who commit to a multi-year operation in Delta State. It is possible. Also, made in Delta certification. Launch a quality assurance seal that gives local production a marketing edge with 100% production in Delta State. My dear friends, challenges are enormous. We can surmount them. But for the fact that we have come together here in this room, none of this solution can succeed in isolation. But we need a government leadership to set clear targets, provide seed funding, and champion this cause. Private sector's investment to build and upgrade studios, sponsor scholarship, and adopt local content. Community engagement to watch, support, and demand Delta-grown program, especially compelling stories. When our leaders, business, professionals, and citizens unite, we create the momentum that is hard to stop. We can demonstrate that in Delta State, it is not just we having a source of talent, but also a destination for world-class broadcast production. It is possible. Since I came into Delta, be my state, and start working in Warri, one of the things I've also observed is that there's a whole lot of demarketing among most broadcast stations. It is not right. Fellow media practitioners, we can stand and sit here today and talk about so many solutions, which I believe you and I, we all know about. And we cannot begin to lay hands, accusing hands, either within government or within fellow broadcasters. I believe that we know what is right and what we can do at this point in time. Since we've all agreed that there's going to be a change, first and foremost, let us say this to ourselves: change starts with me. In closing, let us remind ourselves of this, that a strong broadcast industry in Delta State is not abstract goal. It is a vehicle through which our heritage is shared, our entrepreneurs are celebrated, and our democracy is informed. By addressing infrastructure, our reach, our talent, also regulations and incentives. If we're coordinated, we can turn today's challenges into tomorrow's pride. I want to thank you sincerely from my heart. It's an honor and rare privilege standing before you to share all this. But one thing is sure, that since we've agreed that tomorrow is going to be greater for each and every one of us. Thank you so very much for your time. God bless Delta State. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Nwoche, the General Manager for Mega FM.
Of course, a round of applause for him one more time. That was a powerful presentation. Yes, we are here to speak truth to power. You know what they say? Talk as it be.
As it be, no mixed words at all.
And while he was speaking, I was hearing people saying, yes, yes. So that means you literally resonate with some of the things that he said, right? Isn't that right?
Just to recap for maybe some of the persons who stepped in late or were a little bit distracted, we understand that it's well above the noon, and for those who are fasting, have no worries. You will break your fast. Oh. He spoke about some of the things that I think are very, very core, the drift of our political players to Abuja and Lagos in most cases. And of course, he also reiterated about meetings of like minds like this, which is very important, I think, for the future of broadcasting, not just in Delta State, but in Nigeria generally. I believe if we have symposiums like this, conferences like this, it would go a very long way.
Exactly so. But before we bring up the next speaker real quick.
Yes, let's quickly also recognize the SSA to the Governor on Human Rights, activist Kevin Ichumodu. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, so I have noticed that the atmosphere is a little bit tensed. We are too serious for my liking. It's
are you sure it's not hunger?
You are in front, you don't know. It is really tense. Though.
It is very, very tense.
All right, so let's do something real quick. I know we have a lot of media practitioners here from different radio and TV stations. So let's do something real quick. If you look to your neighbor left and right, if you're not familiar with the face sitting next to you, can you just do some little
introduction?
So while you're doing that, we'll just go on with the program, okay? Okay? So just get familiar with yourselves, basically. All right, so we're going to move quickly with the program. Okay, now reduce the noise while at it, though. All right, so we're going to be bringing up our next speaker real quick. And this is one woman who has really done a lot for the broadcast media space. All right, now that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. Collect numbers if you want to. Very important, but that's okay. Can we now? Can we now face? Yeah, let's now focus. All right. All right. So quickly, we want to bring up our next speaker to come and do justice to her presentation. All right. So she is a broadcast specialist, a woman who has had several years in the broadcast industry, and she will be speaking to us today. Ladies and gentlemen, she is an international journalist, and of course, she will be speaking to us on a very vital topic as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy, can you please put them together as we bring on stage Lady E. Umukoro. Can you please put your hands together for her? Put your hands together for her. Don't stop till she gets here. Don't stop now till she gets here. Thank you so much.
NK and Fresh on our day. Area, how on our day? Wanna show me some love. Area, how on our day? It's good to be home. See beautiful faces, handsome faces, well-dressed people, representing your trade and your craft. I better give it up for yourselves. Or not too much. To my governor, in fact, this is our governor, His Excellency, Sheriff Francis, Owedo Oborewori, if I go mother around. No, we need to commend him for being part of this and ensuring that a representative from his office is here. The one and only, we know him. Our powerful, if on Asabi and where we know, say when it comes to commissioning on information, in Sabi the work, two of us, the only Charles and Yaku. I bet Mona clap for her. Thank you for representing our boss. I see some people here and I'm amazed because it's a good thing that this show up happened today. Rookie Ice Prince, where you dey? Can you turn to ice right now? Is this place not hot for you to turn to, you know what I mean? It's too hot, right? So you cannot be an ice at this moment, but well done. Quick one. Anybody here will get this question, I go do something for them. I'm speaking Pidgin because when I came to Delta State, that was when I learned how to speak Pidgin because my father forbade us from speaking Pidgin growing up. So it took me a while to understand Pidgin. But when I was given the privilege to pioneer a radio station in Warri, I had to learn because I could not communicate with the people. After I did my research, I discovered that if I'm going to do anything in that station, in that state, in that area, in that community, it's got to be influenced by the lingo of the people. Mega FM people, one a day, show some hand. I can't forget my place. I can't forget where I come. Mwauche. I hail you. All right. How many of you know what section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution says? The first person who raise your hand, answer that question. You get something from me. Aha. 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 Ah, I am suspecting you. Oh yeah, now talk. Please, when I get microphone, I need you to give it to Tano. My wonderful brother here. Oga Tano, get up. You don't raise your hand now. You won't answer her now. Oh yeah, answer her. Give him a microphone, please. He needs to be audible. Aha. NK is coming close to you. All right.
Thank you so much, Ejiro. I think you posted it on the social media. It has to do with what you speak, most especially as a media person. You have to be very careful with what you speak.
We talked about that. Yes, but that is not the specific section of the law I'm referring to.
You talked about it.
I referenced it, but not the exact one the way I said
give me
it.
half of this.
Some people don't do you. I see a hand over there in suit. Yes, please.
According to 1999 Constitution,
yes,
it guaranteed the freedom of expression.
Freedom of expression, give it up for him. Wanna clap for him. In fact, courtesy of my organization, Light Ray Media, we go give you 20,000 for that answer where you give so. Yes, sir. I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, who else have been chapter 2, section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution? What does that say? Aha. First hand to come up, and I don't Google now. See them. I see that hand over there. I don't see your hand. Oh yeah, come, my darling. That's a girl. You balance the equation here. You're still Googling it. I'm suspecting you. No, you will not get this one. No way. You not try. Girl in yellow with bandana, having a white bandana on the head. You not try. Next person, please. I see a hand over there. Yes. Can I have you? Yes, go ahead. Introduce yourself, oh.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tega Okura. That's my boss over there, the person who taught me a lot on radio. Thank you, ma. Hold on. Well, I'm from Quest 93.1 FM. It says it guarantees freedom of expression and press for those who are interviewing, maybe seeking information, and maybe whatever you say on the radio, nobody can come against you and say, this is actually wrong. I hope I'm right.
The way you talk, I'm suspecting you. You know, straightforward. You do like worry people. Debe collection. Which Debe levels with this one now? Come on. No. Give me something. Somebody else. Yes, I see a hand over there. I want you to be direct about it. I don't usually give speeches when I go for events. I engage the audience. All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Solofite of Slick 101.9 FM. Chapter 2 states it guarantees rights, freedom of expression, and of course to share opinions.
That one was 39. I'm talking about 22.
Oh.
Chapter 2, section 22. 22. Good, the press freedom. The right of the press to hold government accountable. That's the line I wanted. For the first one, 39 is about freedom of expression. Check it out again. 39 is about freedom of expression, which entitles you as an individual, as a citizen, to do what? Express yourself, But know that after every expression, there are consequences you will not express after the expression. True? Correct. And then section 22 makes it clear. It's the role of the media in holding government accountable. How many of you here have read your NBC code? Raise your hands. And you're in broadcasting. You're in broadcasting. How do you excel in an industry where you don't know the rules and regulations that guide it, that monitors it, that controls you, that tells you how to think, how to behave, what to share, the content and stuff like that? If you don't know the law where you work in the industry, you are going to set yourself up for what? Failure, defamation. What else again? Slap suits. They're going to come. How many journalists have been arrested this year alone that you know of? How many? How many? If you can hazard a guess. Journalists that have been arrested this year. You see, journalists who are actually doing their work becomes the center of attention. People mock them. They take note of them. How many of you, when you were coming this morning, as you were on your way, how many of you noticed a topic that you could have run with? Did you see a story as you were coming? Did you write the story down? Did you use your phone to document the story? Did you send it to your news department instantly? Hey, news, I just saw this, editor, how do you see this matter? This thing, I just see, na. I can't cover up. How many of you did that this morning? That you're coming to a conference is already a mindset shift for you. It is an indication that you're coming to do what? Show yourself. Show your crafts. Demonstrate your skill set. That's what it means. So if you've come here all the way, if you traveled from Warri, if you traveled from Eku, you traveled from anywhere, even within Asaba, and you did not see a story to tell, and you could not share that story, that means you don't know your job. We talk about creativity. Malpa mentioned it. What's creativity here? Using your mobile to do what? Journalism and broadcasting. I'll ask another question. Is broadcasting, the nature of it, is it PR or is it journalism? Anybody can answer, seriously. It's journalism, right? Who thinks that broadcast as a rule, remembering section 22, to hold power accountable, is about public relations? These are the conversations, these are the mindset shifts we need to begin to tackle amongst ourselves. Because we have been raised in a generation where we think PR is journalism. They are not. If you go to any school or institution that tells you that PR and journalism are the same thing, drop that school. Don't take their certificate. Public relations is about communication of perception and imagery. Journalism, whether it's broadcast, whether it's print, is about stories of people, happenings around you, holding government accountable. Let me tease you one more time. How many of you here heard that Delta State government as a whole has never borrowed a loan since our governor, Sheriff, came on board? How many of you? You all heard about it, right? How did that make you feel? You felt proud, isn't it? Compared to the history of long-standing practices that you know of. But how many of you actually interrogated that claim? How many of you did? Journalism is not armchair. You don't sit down in your house, your offices, and copy and paste. You don't do it. So if the governor has been so remarkable about that, why haven't we seen you done stories that highlight the areas? For example, compare it with what the central bank says in terms of FAC, compare it with what the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics says, compare it with the World Bank data that we have. These are your sources that you can go to verify information. How many of you even sat down with Anyago to verify that claim? How many of you? None of you, right? You scared of him? Oh, will you see him? Anyago, they say they don't see you. So, essentially, our job is a tough one. It is not 8 years ago. We were to bring international persons and work with the academia. We were to ensure that the various communication schools in Delta State, each of them from polytechnics to universities, they were supposed to be involved in helping the young persons. Peter, you talked about significance of mentorship. That was what we were bringing on board. And did you know what all the school heads told me? What is in it for us? And it's not just there. I have met some media organizations and said, we were going to train their staff. All we need is for you to bring what? The number of staff that you want. Do you know what happened to that? It died a natural death. So, while it is true we look at external forces, can we also try and hold ourselves too as being accountable? What role are we two playing in Delta's media storytelling? Its perception, its image. And I will reiterate another important point that was stated earlier. We cannot keep taking money from Delta and giving it to media organizations outside of Delta. It is an injustice. If the scales are balanced in the sense that, this is it, there is nothing wrong in promoting what you do in your state because you need it. I mean, that's PR. It's very important. And that's political posturing. It's very significant. But the question is, do you now abandon yours? When I dropped on Facebook that I was landed in Asaba and I'm here for this event, did you know what somebody dropped on my timeline? DBS did they work? That response surprised me because I didn't expect it. But that tells you something as well. It says something. One of the things they do in the UK, there's this organization, it's very similar to NBC here. They say if one complaint is sent to them, just one complaint about a radio station is sent to them, just one. Because I was part of a crew, when I won an award, they brought me in, they said, look, this is how we run stuff in this media and all of that. And I saw one complaint, just one complaint. That one complaint, do you know what that organization did, similar to NBC? They met all the radio stations and that program was killed. Why? Because it was a threat to the lives of the people. At the end of the day, the Delta we create is the one we imagine. The question is, what kind of media for Delta are you imagining? When I talked about Section 22, it's significant because the real job is that of a watchdog. That's what it is. It's a watchdog job, not a lapdog. And what does a watchdog does? It barks, not because he wants to bark. It barks because there's a reason to do what? Bark. It's supposed to sound alarm. It's supposed to awaken people, senses. That's its job. So for all the young students who have come here today, this may be your very first conference. And I'm proud of you for doing that. Please, there are opportunities worldwide. I have a number of WhatsApp groups that I train people and I send them opportunities. Do you know how many people in Delta has ever attempted it? None. But do you know how many people from River State have attempted it? 5. And do you know where they are today? They are international, well-placed journalists across the world. Owning their own media, running their own media entrepreneurship. So one of the things I discovered about Delta here, as we are, as a people, is this. It's an industry we like to complain rather than do. We like to point fingers rather than take ownership. We're looking for who to fault rather than say, what can we do as collaborators? How can we work together? Peter and I have an interesting story here. But we are talking. You must leave this conference today certain, without a shadow of the doubt, that you know your role in the Delta media space and industry. If your career path is about changing, maybe not being a producer, you want to be an editor, or you want to be a presenter, that is outstanding. You should be asking yourself, what skills do I need to develop right now? How do I go about it? Where do they offer this training? What must I do now? Who should I connect with? Delta has so many stories. DBS alone should be such a world-class media organization. True or false? So today, we are hoping this conversation will stimulate that. We are also hoping that the other stations that have been here in Delta State, who are remarkable, doing remarkable work, we hope that they will continue to do the best they can. But remember, if you don't know the job, you will mess up on the job, and the job will mess you up. So let's tell our stories. How many of you are aware that we speak that the Niger River there is being polluted by a company running emulsions into the Niger River? How many of you are aware? But you are closer here. Somebody called it to my attention. I am not here, but somebody called it to my attention. And we've begun an investigation. So how can you be in your own cities and somebody else is telling your stories and you're angry that somebody else is telling your stories? That's because you're sitting, you're watching. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a good day for Delta Media. May we become better ambassadors for Delta State. Thank you very much.
I thought you would do better than that. Celebrate her. Lady E. Umukoro, celebrate her. All right, we are moving forward, and it's about that time we get to hear from someone who I respect so much, who is also one of us, and he will be speaking to us. But before I bring him on stage, I want to quickly recognize the presence of the Delta State Chairman, National Association of Women Journalists, Nawaj Comrade Sonia Unmubonjo. Celebrate her. Thank you so much, Ma, for coming. We celebrate you. Also, we also have present now the General Manager of Trend FM, Mr. Christopher Belushi. Thank you so much for coming. Also, an LOC member. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time we get to hear from our own, the Honorable Commissioner himself. I thought you would be clapping. Come on now, come on now, come on now. Honorable Charles Ehiedu Anyagwu. He is a seasoned journalist, media strategist, and of course a public administrator. Come on, put your hands together for the Honorable Minister, Honorable Commissioner. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. the speaker, the Speaker of Delta State House of Assembly, very well represented by my brother and friend, the Majority Leader and Chairman, House Committee on Information, Engineer Emeka Nwobi. Thank you. Very senior government functionaries here, the conveners of this auspicious event, our different guest speakers, especially my very good friend, colleague and sister, Maobo Ogun Yusuf, Lady E, and my brother that also spoke a while ago. Distinguished participants of this conference, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, let me, on behalf of His Excellency the Governor, appreciate the organizers of this event, and indeed, our brothers and sisters who have also come here to share their experiences with us. I also appreciate the Majority Leader for standing in for the Honorable Speaker. Then, of course, most importantly, the participants who have also spared their time to be able to attend these firsts in the life of our dear state. And so it's something that we take pride in. A number of issues have been raised here. We'll try to put them in different forms. But before I do that, I'd like for those who are not too clear about my stand on a number of issues to realize that by training, I majored as a print journalist. By practice, I went into broadcasting. And for more than a decade, I was in that field and in the private sector. And today, I also have the very rare privilege for quite some time now, starting from 2015, of managing government media outfits. And so, I could say I have experience from both worlds, which I believe some of the speakers that have appeared here this morning may not necessarily boast of. What does that mean? I do not mean to undermine the very wonderful knowledge they have shared. But what it means is that I've been able to experience how the private sector works and how the government media works. And this conference itself, good enough, I had the opportunity of meeting with the conveners at the inception. And I gave them some ideas to tinker with what they had originally, and which they did. And today I'm happy that we're all here. Now, there are three major issues that are at stake in the course of discussing broadcasting and where we are today. That of government, that of the practitioners, and of course the environment where the practitioner operates. There are some of our speakers who have been able to deal very decisively on the issues that have to do with the practitioners, particularly Maobo Ogun. She gave you a whole lot of insight as to some of the expectations of the practitioner. So it's important we separate the issues so that we are not carried away by the euphoria of government she didn't do this, government didn't do this. Because if you go with that mentality, you will miss the real thing which concerns you, the broadcaster. Because we even have more private broadcast outfits in Delta than even the government outfits. So if you yield to the fact that government have not done this, government have not done this, and you begin to see that as the only challenge you have, you are not most likely going to survive the different innovations that today characterize the broadcast industry. And some of them have been very well put across to you in the course of the discourse earlier at this event today. I will come back to the issues of the government and what we are doing. That is our responsibility, and we are not sleeping on it. And certain impressions have also been made that the reason that because you make use of media houses outside Delta, that is why the Delta government-owned media houses are not functioning. That is far from the truth. I want to ask you, even the private media houses in Delta, go and find out from them, they are just struggling to survive. Is it because we went to Lagos or went to Abuja? At the time Delta Broadcasting Service was very, very functional, or DRTV worrying, were these independent media houses not also very, very active in our dear state? There are many other states. If I want to reach out to the broader society, because Delta is not operating in isolation, and you say, no, the money I'm spending in AIT, the money I'm spending in channels, the money I'm spending in Arise, that on those stations, those funds I'm taking there is the reason why yours is not functioning. That is not true. And I say so because of the vantage position that I occupy today. We are making efforts to revive the stations, and I'm happy the practitioners are aware the extent to which you have gone in terms of reaching out to those who produce the equipment. Even before I left in my first sojourn as the Commissioner for Information, contract has already been awarded, but for some reason, due to fluctuations, we had challenge because those equipment that we needed to bring in are not produced here in Nigeria. Today, you don't produce, happy that the state-owned stations are not functioning the way they should. Please, can I have the audience? Making noise or shouting does not help any situation. If I explain to you, it is either you take it or you have opportunity also further interrogating me. I'm also a debt, and I hope you know. I don't gain anything if the stations don't function. In any case, if the station function, as the Commissioner for Information, I will benefit far more than any other person. Number one, it will be to my credit. Number two, it will even be easy for me to tell the GM that I don't have diesel in my house because I know she's producing. Not the other way around where I have to even spoon feed them. Now, let me leave the aspect of the government because I know by the grace of God we are doing something about that. Let me come to the very, very critical, which is what you need to be able to survive the rampaging influence of the social media. Those of you who are practitioners today are not even seeing it. We talked about AI and its impact, and you are thinking that it's a joke. Lady E talked about individuals who are not even able to identify news even when they see them. You are a practitioner. For us in the private sector, we will bear me witness. It is not all the time that you even go to assignment that you must demand money from your station for you to even go and cover that assignment. But most of you who are here, if your manager sends you, except it's the one you are generating by yourself because you know maybe you will get money. If they ask you to go and cover an event and they did not provide you vehicle, you begin to grumble. Forgetting that even the one you attended 2 days earlier, they gave you money, you put it in your pocket. The one you want to go today, because it's coming from the medium, you don't even want to spare a little from what you have gotten yesterday because you assume that it's already 100% yours. Now, if you are not able to identify what news is, go and look at the content you are dishing out. Before now was DBS, both Warri and Asaba. Were they not functioning? Didn't they have a broadcast equipment? Didn't they have OP van? What killed it? We are operating I operated in the private sector. Go and check most of those private media houses. They have increased in leaps and bounds. Government is not giving them a penny. They create content that makes them attractive, that makes the advertisers to come to them, and the money you make from advertisers is what is going to sustain you, not government. I'm sorry to say, if I ask many of you here, how many of you in the last 2 days have possibly switched on to NTA at the national level with all the money Nigeria has? How many of you? But every morning you tune to Arise, you tune to channels, you tune to AIT, you tune to TVC. Why are you tuning to them? Is it government that is giving them money for them to be attractive to you? They have been able to bring in content that makes them attractive to the advertisers, and through those funds, they remain stable. So even if today the government brings in, because what we are looking at in terms of how far we have gone, is in excess of 7 billion to be able to bring them back. Yes, to link up the stations, because you may not know what we're putting together. Let me tell you also the difference between government and private sector. You forget that government operates for the purpose of serving the people. In this case, we have a station in Warri, we have a station in Asaba, we have a booster station in Ubuluku, and then some other places are making demands. Even when you employ, in each of these two stations, they have in excess of 170 workers. If they were to be private firms, you don't even need more than 70 in each of the stations. 70 workers in each of the stations. Now, when I was in AIT, I was just 2 years in that place, I was made head of reportorial. Even as head of reportorial, I have my seniors who were reporting to me, even if they were earning more salary. The private sector will look at your competence. The government establishment will look at rank, even when that man doesn't know anything. So once you are certain levels, they will tell you, we alluded to it, and some of you clapped when she said, allow them to express themselves. A number of persons commend what we are doing with respect to dissemination of information about the state government, particularly in the social media. The reason why I'm succeeding in that aspect is because I've taken advantage of the Gen Zs around me. When they produce, I push it out, I take the glory, but their brain has been able to work. But when you go to government media house, they say the GM or possibly your head of news or head of program will say, no, who are you? You cannot do this. You are not even allowed to express yourself. And you want to be able to perform. You want to be able to perform like the private media houses. And when you don't perform, you don't even look at the structure. You are looking at government. If you don't perform, the advertiser is exposing his products because he believes that he's going to have more people either listening or watching. Ask the people in our different state-owned media, I tell them, if you are interviewing people or you are interviewing me, you are not the government spokesperson. I am. Ask me the question, it is my responsibility to answer it. Don't attempt to answer it. Because the reason why you may not be watching government media houses is because they themselves have even embarked on too much censorship by themselves. I'm talking about in Delta. If somebody raises an issue, come and ask us. After all, there's also social responsibility. I'm not saying that you should go on air and put people who will be insulting people up and down. But even if somebody raises an issue as it concerns him, just like my colleagues have raised in the course of their intervention this morning, those of us in government should be respectful enough to understand that that is how it touches them. Our business is to explain to them that that is not the way it is. But not to want them to express themselves because we are privileged to be in government. One day, we will be out of government, and they will be the one in government, then they will also seize our ability to also speak to the people. So please, let us understand that different thing as to what is expected of you as a practitioner, what is expected of government, and now coming to the issue of the environment, which is the third factor. They have talked about regulatory issues, either from the NBC or from government as it were. You must be able to understand the different dimensions. So the presenters have talked about the issue of being able to segment your audience. The reason why the social media is gaining ground is because it's providing different opportunities to different persons. It's not dogmatic. If you notice what we are doing now in terms of communicating what the government is doing, it's different for administration. We are bringing in some form of Gen Z approach. You see, for instance, somebody like Kokome, he will be presenting and you see her dancing. I think that is to be able to make people remain because you must sustain their attention. While you want to watch the dance, you are able to see the bridge that we are showing you. We are also able to bring in drama in your television. Somebody who wants to read news, he assumes that he must be standing like a stick. That you cannot shake, you cannot move to the left, you cannot move to the right. You should be able to know that the reason why the private TV stations, whether it's channels, whether it's TVC, whether it's Arise, whether it's AIT, why they are appealing to you is because you see the mannerism why they present. Mohamed talked about hard copy, a program I have also followed for a very long time. Even when the questions are hard, you still see her smile. You don't need to know to say because you want to ask a hard question, you frown your face as if one tipper have run you over. What is important is that there is a question. The mannerism is important. So let's understand what the issues are. This conference is all encompassing. I'm saying all this so that you don't just go home to say, yes, they said it. Government did not provide money. They are going to Abuja. That's why we're not functioning. If you go with that mentality, you would have missed everything here. That mentality is for us to be able to say, yes, they have spoken to us. To begin to expedite action on the issues they have raised. I don't have any problem with the issues they have raised as to what is expected of those of us in government. And I don't also want you to have issues with the things that they have said with respect to you being able to meet up with the challenges of modern day broadcasting. I must appreciate all of you and thank you for making yourself available. I am quite sure that even from the decoration you saw outside, you have already benefited because you now know how to organize events and make it look much more attractive. For me, having come here today, I feel I'm even indebted to the conveners. I feel that we didn't even do enough in terms of supporting them because they have done so well. And by the grace of God, we will take it a notch higher to be able to meet them where it pinches. Thank you very much and have a wonderful session.
Before the cameras came, he walked alone.
All right, can we celebrate the Honorable Commissioner?
About his deliverables. They saw the headlines, but missed the footprints. He didn't speak loudly. His works echoed instead. He didn't promise. He delivered. He didn't walk alone. We walked with him.
Can we watch the screen, please?
Witness what no one else thought he could do. The sheriff's 2-year footprints. Only one documentary tells it all. Coming soon.
More for Delta.
All right, that was a very wonderful one. I think we've been able to have some level of balance in here. Can we once again celebrate the Honorable Commissioner of Public Information and Works, Rural Roads Command, Honorable Charles Aniagwu. Please celebrate him one more time.
Please, let's make the hands bigger. We talked about this. Let's make the hands bigger. Thank you very much.
All right, quickly to come and will message from the Speaker of the Delta State House.
You can also follow us and follow the trend on social media. There is a hashtag ongoing at the moment. And just as the Commissioner had spoken about social media and the possibilities that it presents this new generation, go ahead and put up with the hashtag DBMC2025, okay?
That's right.
For your pictures, your videos, maybe your commentaries, whichever way, go ahead and put up the hashtag as well. And let's make Delta Broadcast Media Conference trend on Twitter or X as they use it now. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Thank you very much.
X. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to bring on stage one of our sponsors to give us a very... All right, so we're going to be calling the CEO of Lily Foods to come and give us his... All right, a round of applause for him. Mr. Ikechukwu Nweze. Put your hands together for him. Put your hands together for him.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Standing on all existing protocols. Protocols not many today. I'm not media person. I'm more of a tech person. I'm more of a business person. And the day the LOC, Mr. Rookie and the team came to meet me in my office, I expressed my concern. And my concern is around utilizing tech in the media space. I was born and brought up in Warri. I've been following up with DSTV, the FM then, 88.6. And I noticed something. After my childhood of leaving Warri and moving on to school and going to Edo State, schooling in Auchi, I noticed there was no way to follow up with the news, follow up with what's happening in the media space in Delta State. And that brings me to the topic, the role of technology in the media industry. So I believe we are in the Gen Z era, and it is no longer a one-way thing. Most of us, we don't watch football with our DSTV anymore. From our mobile phone, we watch football. From our mobile phone, we access Channels TV, Arise TV, and the rest. Spend more money on content creators and influencers. But the reason is because the target audience, which are the Gen Zs, we cannot access them using just radio. There is no way we can access these people. Because why? We have failed to use the internet, the growing technology that the Gen Zs have adopted, because they are mobile first. So the media houses in Delta State, they should focus on the audience shift, which is the new generation, the Gen Zs, over the millennials. We are more glued to our phones. There are ways we should utilize the internet, have our website. Sometimes there are programs like this. We are supposed to be live streaming this program on YouTube. But most of these media houses, we stick to that one process, broadcast on TV. And that's where you cannot grow. That's where you cannot evolve. Why you access Arise TV and Channels TV on DSTV, you should also consider that when you go to YouTube, you see them. Not just the past videos, you see them transmitting live. You see them live streaming. So the Gen Z era is a mobile first and digital only era. And a lot of us have glued to our phone. We use our mobile phones for our everyday activities. So if we want to capture the attention of the Gen Zs or the current trend, we need to focus on the internet. Now, I'll talk about live streaming. Live streaming is a way of airing a program or an event through the internet, either through a streaming platform like YouTube, for audio like Spotify, and for podcasts like Apple Music. So I want to use this medium to also encourage the media houses in Delta State. Please and please, you need a website. You need proper content on your social media. You need to have a YouTube channel. You need to have a TikTok channel. And also, you need to have a database collection system. Sometimes you get a news as an individual, and there's no way we could send this information down to the media houses. Because of why? There's no communication, there's no bridge linking the media houses and the individuals that are every day. So we end up sending this content to the likes of Default Cultures and the likes of the other bloggers on the internet. So please and please, I want to also thank the convener, Mr. Rookie, and everybody tech, so that we can have a more productive Delta and a more growing Delta. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, about this time, we are about to bring on stage the representative for the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly to give us his goodwill message. He is the Majority Leader, Delta State House of Assembly, and Chairman, House Committee on Information. Please put your hands together. Christine Emetulu, the General Manager, DBS Asaba. Put your hands together for her. Oh, she stepped out. Okay. All right. So she will be coming through. All right, all the way from City FM, Lagos. Please put your hands together as we bring on stage Rex Okiche. Please put your hands together for him. Former head of station, Bridge Radio, Asaba. Wow. A round of applause for him. Is a son of the soil as well, I can boldly say. Please put your hands together for him as he comes to take his seat. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you.
Make we welcome Rex Okiche. We decided we're going to do something special.
All right.
Could clap for him. Please clap for him.
Make we clap for him now, I beg.
Clap for him.
Is he arguably the tallest in the room? I don't think so. All right, coming up next. Okay, so we have the General Manager, DBS Asaba. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Christine Emetulu as she takes her seat. Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome, ma'am.
Just anywhere outside the middle. Thank you. All right, coming on next, we have a veteran broadcaster, retired but not tired. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Ochuko Orogun, my mama. My mama. Celebrate this great woman, please. Thank you. All right, so you can also take the other way. Mama, come with your food. No Allah. Nothing to you. Nothing to you. All right, coming to join her next, we have all the way from Just Men Radio Lagos, Mr. Edokbai Osato, a.k.a. EDK. A round of applause for him. Ma'am, please just avoid the middle seats. Oh, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And moderating this session, we have the person of Success David of Trend FM Asaba. Please
Madam
put
Speaker,
your hands together for
welcome.
Miss Success.
Popularly known as Madam Speaker on Trend 100.9
All right,
FM.
now let's do this.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Nice to be here. As a matter of fact, it's an honor. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol, recognizing now in absentia our governor, who was ably represented by Honorable Commissioner for Public Information, Works, Rural Road, Charles Anyago. I have representing the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, the Majority Leader, Emeka Nwobi. Veteran broadcasters here present, my colleagues, and of course other delegates. It's an auspicious occasion, and I am most honored to be moderating the panel session. I can see my friend from that end, Rex Okiche. We've done a lot of work together before he disappeared to Lagos. Hello, Rex. Very well, thank you. How are you? Okay. I think we have to change your mic. Could I have somebody help me? I think this one works. Okay, this works. Mama, do you have one? Okay. And as you heard me call her Mama, I've heard a lot about her. It's an honor to be sitting here with you. And as the interviewer, while you answer the question, it's an honor to meet you, Ma, the DBS of Delta State, but DBS right here in Asaba. And of course, the Honorable Mama, who my former colleague, I don't know, he's here, Caro has talked a lot about you. He's always talking about you when we served together as co-host of Trend Talk. Nice to meet you, Mama.
Thank you.
And of course, EDK, who is arguably the best OAP, contemporary OAP in Nigeria. Hello, EDK. Nice to be sitting on this panel session with you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Very kind words. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, without wasting any much time, I'll be starting from the extreme here. ADK, who was the last person I talked about. We're going to be talking about new school media. So there is this dichotomy about new school and main school media, mainstream media. Before now, in the broadcast media space, we didn't used to hear such things, but now it's a thing. So can you elaborate on new school media and mainstream media, especially because people would define you as contemporary new school broadcast journalists?
Well, I don't know that they should, to be honest. I think if you're a professional at something and you've given a number of years in learning and honing your career, if you know Sir David Attenborough is a nature journalist, documentary filmmaker, phenomenal voice. He's 99 years old, right? 20 years ago, when he was in his 70s, the BBC had a succession plan. They started talking, how do we replace this guy? 20 years ago. He's still doing it. He's still alive. He's still doing it. And he's still relevant and he's still getting numbers, right? That is to say, in today's world, what we need to do as broadcasters, I believe, is understand how our various media are changing and evolving, how our contributions can further encourage younger people coming after us to look into the light and also be better versions of themselves, but also learn from people who have gone before us, right? So in Nigeria, for example, we're seeing a situation where there are lots of, and I will use my primary medium, which is radio. So I started radio out of uni in 2012. Interned at Rhythm FM Benin, and then Vibes, and then I moved to Sound City, and then to Lagos. And what I noticed at the time, when I joined Vibes FM, I was the youngest person in the room, right? And as the youngest person in the room, everybody who was on air with me, I'd listened to in some way growing up. And I felt, so there was a fanboy moment as well. But in as much as I was learning from them, I was also noticing in the room that some of them weren't keen on learning new trends that would make them better and stronger and make them stick around, right? So what then happens is, there's a young guy who's coming, who's really hungry, who's learning a lot of new things, and seemingly is doing really well. I don't think that I did anything particularly special. I just learned voraciously and really quickly, right? So I think what we attribute to the success of, quote, new media is just a lot of people who are learning really quickly. I was speaking with a colleague the other day, and I say, oh, there is because when people hear TikTok, people think, oh, it's all trendy dances and challenges and so on. And there are people in the world who get all of their news on TikTok. And a lot of it is not even misinformation. It's actual proper news. And there is a young guy, his name is Dylan Page. He's American. He speaks the news like he's talking it or he's dumbing it down. But it's actual factual information. And he's so relevant and so prominent now with millions of followers that he's in the same rooms where you will invite CNN journalists and other international media journalists. The people at the UN need him in the room too, because he has a sizable audience. You can't discount his audience. And I think that's what needs to happen for a lot of us. So if you, I feel everyone, and just to hop on the thing, everyone here can be a new school media practitioner. You just need to learn the tools of today and use them to your advantage. I think it's very critical. So I don't think the dichotomy should exist, and I just want to harp on that. And I feel like when we establish that dichotomy, it sort of gives a bit of who have been around a little longer to not learn the new tools of the trade. And like Mrs. Markwell also said when she was up there, she's having to learn how to speak the language of different platforms, like X, and how to post pictures on Insta and TikTok. The thing is, TikTok is not just for dancing. You can pass on your information as a news media journalist, for example. You just need to find the language and the length that works for that particular platform. Lady E has an online media platform, and she's able to have all this impact and all these investigations, not necessarily when she's locally present here, but because she has a platform and utilizes the internet properly, she's able to have a broader impact, right? Now, a lot of the things we've discussed here today is about exactly how we can improve the situation in Delta State or in our local markets, depending on where they are. And the fact is, like the CEO of the company who sponsors here, you can't discount tech, right? We use tech as a trendy word. We use tech to say, oh, you know, if you're on TikTok, you have a website, you have Facebook, you're tech savvy, sure thing. No, what I feel is, and the Honorable Commissioner has gone now, everybody understands here that broadcast equipment is incredibly expensive. Transmitters are crazy expensive, especially if you're buying from Nigeria where the naira is at a disadvantage and you're going to buy in a foreign currency. Crazy stuff. But there are cheaper alternatives. Now, it's not for a company like DBS. I'm sure they need all the big stuff, right? No, I'm saying what I mean there, is like the company like DBS, you need the big equipment, right? Your audience is broad. So you need the big vans and you need the things and so on. What I'm saying is everyone here has a phone, right? My colleague Rex is wearing a little lapel microphone there, right? Because there's somebody who's recording him with a thing, right? So they're going to get direct audio from that. I'm saying, right, that there are clever and hopefully, if anybody sees reason with me, cost-effective ways to have greater impact in today's world. And I believe that is what really defines the new media space we're in. The people who will be successful, the people who will thrive, are people who understand quickly how these things are moving, who are able to gauge the trends, and who are able to take advantage. Yes, there will be an initial investment in new tech. New tech is never cheap because, again, people are doing R&D, costs a lot to do R&D. But over time, if people see the success, there's a proliferation stage. And when things proliferate, generally they become a tad cheaper, right? I feel like every one of us in this room shouldn't only be concerned with what is affecting us. If you're a news editor, don't be concerned with just how to gather the news. How do you gather the news smartly, more efficiently, using new media tools, using AI? I was just going to mention something before I pass on. In 2021, my then boss at Sound City Radio, where I used to work, I used to work in Abuja, he challenged me, because we have shows where we're a solo presenter, so I'd never had a co-host for a while. And he says, wouldn't it be great to have another voice on your show? I'm like, yeah, but are you going to hire somebody and pay the person, right? And he joked, no, we don't have the budget for that. But I have this thought to develop an AI personality and use on your show. It's a very simple thought. What we did was a little research. We created a psychological profile for an AI personality. We gave her a name. The name was IJ. Instantly, people would ask, is her name Ijoma? Is her name, what is IJ? And we made her sound snarky, argumentative, trolled me. It was an antagonizing personality on the show. Now, some people would have figured it out. I wrote the prompts for the AI person that we hired. And we also heard earlier that there's a whole TV network that is launching AI news anchors in this country now. I did that, but it was more from an entertaining perspective. So there are things I wouldn't want to say because I've developed a personality on air and people expect me to sound and say certain things. But I would like for another voice next to me to say these things in a way that doesn't always agree with things I say. And it was entertaining, and listeners loved it, and listeners took to her. So her role was like an agony aunt. So if you know these agony aunt columns in the old papers where you share your problems and you say, oh, my boyfriend left me for 2 years, what will I do? A lot of podcasts ask this AI personality super intelligent questions, and she would make this snarky joke. I was writing all the prompts, right? But it gave me an opportunity to sort of have a separate voice on the show. And if you do that, I'm just saying this is another outlet for a new school media person, for you to take advantage of the tools that exist today and thrive. It was so good that when I moved to a new station in Lagos, so we set up a new station, Radio Justman, 105.7, my boss asked me, so we're not going to leave that thing in Abuja, are we? Because we have to find a way to bring it here. And, you know, sometimes when you create things at your station, they tell you it belongs to the station,
Yes.
yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I don't particularly subscribe to that. No, I get the point. I'm just saying that it was the way it was designed made it sort of proprietary to me and to us at the time.
Okay.
And I'm just saying that what we can do more so that we can all be this new school media mavens is to take advantage of today's tools quickly, smartly, and thrive together.
Thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together for EDK. And just to mention, we're discussing challenges and solutions of the broadcast media here in Delta State, how we can expedite action to see that we become as global as we're supposed to be. Let me move on to Mama here, who is Christine Emetulu. She is the current manager of DBS Asaba. General Manager, DBS, please. I apologize, DBS people. Don't call my true mirror. Okay, we're going to be talking about marketing because you started off in marketing, and we know if broadcast media is going to be sustainable, Honorable Commissioner for Public Information mentioned it, especially for private radio stations, marketing, funding, and sustainability for broadcast media. What would you prefer as solutions in current day global space?
All right, thank you very much, and again, welcome to all our media practitioners. Just to let you know that I started out as a presenter and OAP, not as a marketer.
Okay, but you have marketing background. Yes. Okay.
Let's say 2 years of that. Now, as the manager of an organization, Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba, needless to say that we need resources to drive that organization.
The microphone.
Now, what I will say, because there are many media heads and marketers here, first and foremost, we must embrace the new media, as you call it, because it is your visibility that will give you more eyes and more ears, and the more visibility you have, the more they want to patronize you. So as media leaders, media practitioners, and those in the marketing space, we must make ourselves visible, even online. And I'm sure that contrary to perceptions, many of the media organizations here, even the ones you call traditional, are already embracing that. Now, there was a question or a statement that Lady E made earlier on, that on a post somebody said, does DBS still exist? Now, to that I would say is a function of visibility, and then who are those listening to you? Where are your audiences from? Who are your audience per time? So it's important. So if you're running an organization and you want to thrive, to generate resources, one, your content must be good. So it's not enough for you to be on air and then you don't have the appeal. So your content must be such that it can attract, not just attract, but also sustain your viewership and your listenership. So to that extent, the content that you push out, we're talking about the Gen Zs now. What is your content like? Is your content such that it sidetracks the Gen Zs? Is something we have to address. Now, as traditional media practitioners, we have a challenge because we're not just a private station. We operate under the rules of the sea. So even though we try to be flexible, there's a level and a limit to which we can be flexible. So there is a level or a specification for local programs. There's a specification for children programs. There's a specification for government programs, you name it. However, in all of this, what we must try to do is to ensure that this catchment area, the Gen Zs now, we develop content that would attract them and sustain them. That is a challenge for traditional media practitioners. But we must come out of that. So like I said, we must come out with content that will satisfy, that will meet their listenership, their viewership, and then we extend this from the basic or the fundamentals of radio, television, and move on to online where we have their presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together for Mrs. Christine Emetulu, the General Manager of DBS. Wonderful. I totally agree. If your content is not appealing, then you will not sell. And when we're talking about Gen Z these days, you know, they're all on social media. So content that appeal to Gen Z and utilizing the tools that Gen Zs use would solve the problem. Thank you so much. Wonderful. And moving on to the second gentleman I have with me, just to mention if you have any questions, and when we round up this session, we'll move on to the question and answer session. So we'll take about four questions, one for each person. So please, NK and Finest, please help me. Anybody who has questions, you can take it. Just 4 questions to take. Rex, Rex has gone to Lagos City FM and he's thriving there. You're the head of programs there. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. For people who did not know, or people who did not know before now, I knew Rex as a musician. With the now where to be your pin code though. Yes, I knew Rex as that person. And then we know that Delta State is blessed with entertainers. But then when we speak to entertainment in Nigeria, the big boys in entertainment, they're all running to Lagos. It's not like we don't have talent here in Delta State. How can we harness broadcast media to export the talents that Delta State has? I'd like to think you're a Delta, and even though you're in Lagos now, but tell us how you can help us.
Okay, so firstly, it's good to be home. Big shout out to everybody in the building. I'm glad to be back here having this conversation. And as a musician, like you said, I've done so many things, but it's good that I'm in the media space as well. For Delta, there are a lot of talent here, but I think that one of the biggest issues we have in Delta State is platforms that encourage the musicians and the talent here to get the information they need to thrive. But the beautiful thing now is that there's the internet, there's social media, so a lot of information is out there. The draw that Lagos will continue to have is because of investment that has gone into media in Lagos, right? And the fact that we have more of the record labels in Lagos and all those platforms. But what's stopping us from having these kind of seminars for the creatives who are here, the musicians who are here, and what's also stopping the media from projecting Delta artists whenever they have the opportunity? So it's not only focusing on the artists who are topping the Hot 100 on the billboards or Apple Music charts. We need to have a conscious effort to promote local talent here in Delta State. And I feel there's so much that we can achieve as broadcast media practitioners here, just so that whenever a new artist comes out in Delta State, they understand what they need to do to compete with the artists in Lagos or wherever else. And the beautiful thing is that wherever you are now with TikTok, Instagram, you can blow from anywhere. So it's up to us to ensure that we appreciate the talent here, and as media practitioners, provide opportunities for them and put together conferences like this, especially those that touch on music business, because I think a lot of the practitioners who are artists, creatives, there's a side of the business that not a lot of people understand. Once they can understand that, then we'll be hearing something totally different.
Okay, so broadcasters here, we are encouraged to promote our own. For Trend FM, where I work, there's something we call the music studio, where we promote local artists, and at just very, very little fee. If you go, they call 500,000, 1 million naira just to one airplay for an artist that is trying to find his way. But we can actually encourage them, and some of these people are really good. So let's do well to promote our own. Delta to the world, yay! Thank you very much. And now, saving the best for last, Mama, like I love to call her, or Chuko Rogu, like they've always, people have introduced you before now, and they've been saying retired but not tired. I love that so much. Let's speak to creativity and what I like to call stifling of talent. Lady E spoke to broadcasters or broadcast journalists that take the opportunity to go improve on themselves. I speak to broadcast journalists here in Delta State, and just having a conversation, and they tell you, I've not had time to go do 1 or 2 courses, because when I go to ask for permission, they'll ask, who will do your job? Will we still pay you when you go? So haven't gone through the years of service, and you did very well. How do you suppose that broadcast journalists now in practice can deal with that? And also, please help us appeal to the managers in the house.
Good to be here. I feel like a guest, after 2 years in the quiet. I'm not finding it funny, a little bit shaking, but whatever it is, a journalist is a journalist, a broadcaster is a broadcaster. I'm happy I'm here. Going straight to your question. If you want to achieve anything, you have to improve on yourself. You don't wait for anybody to help you. You have to do it yourself. You look for people around you who have been better in whatever they've done and try to imbibe it in you. And that's the only way you can help yourself. As a veteran broadcaster, meaning that I retired like 2 years ago, it wasn't that easy to work in the government circle because it's all about, I know many of my colleagues here, especially those who were under me, will say, this woman too wicked. But it was to train you to be better. This program, like 10, but we started about 2:11. I am very time conscious. And that's what every broadcaster should have in mind. Thank you so much. And Gen Zs did not clap. Because they will never stick to time. That's one thing that's very important. Then, secondly, you must know your worth. You must be ready for anything. You can't wait for the general manager to give you what you want. You have to sacrifice. And to make it better for you, to make people appreciate you, your guys will not appreciate you. Your fellow colleagues will not appreciate you. You know who will appreciate you? The audience, the viewers, the listeners. I don't know how many of you still remember. I used to do Sunday morning, which I took from May Nwoko. And nobody has ever asked Ochiko come back, apart from Malcolm Oteri, who saw me one time at the club and said, how far? We want you. But it was audience, listeners, who says, Ochiko, we're missing your voice. Come back to Sunday morning. It was an escape route for me, not going to church anyway. But now, I had to put my foot down for my husband. I don't go church, I tire. But what I'm saying here is, you have to make yourself relevant. You have to do a lot of research. Exactly what Maope said. I've always been her fan on TV. If he doesn't know that, yes. I listen to you. You're another African Amanpo. You are hard to deal with. And you're always straight to business, and that's what it's supposed to be. You don't come to pet your guest. You need to get the answer of them. It's not easy, because at the end, waiting they do themselves, you know. But at the end of it, did you achieve what you wanted? And if you did, then you pat your back. Don't wait for people to tell you you did well. You ask yourself, and that's why there's what we call post-mortem for yourself. I had one in a husband who we say, don't fool yourself, you know. And if you have people who are close to you who tells you the right thing, you will improve. Talking about the Gen Z, talking about the modern, talking about the old, I don't think there's anything to it. There are ethics you must follow, whether you like it or not. Whether it's in the 1969 book, whether it's in a 2025 book, there are ethics you have to follow. Yes. There's what we call humility, ready to work, doing your best, giving out the best. Those are the things I can remember. I told you, immediately I retired, I refused to turn on my radio or television because I know I will call Anayenuku, what are you doing on air? Or I will call a CJ, what is happening? They all know that. So I had to get off from it. But, Honorable, are you finding me boring? Yes. Bye-bye, Honorable Wobi.
Majority Leader is taking his leave, and we can continue. Convener and LOC Chairman. Majority Leader, thank you so much for
enjoying
coming.
me. So, okay. No, it's all right. Yes, well done.
Thank you so much. Where were we?
So that's it. Having the guts, that's another thing. You have to be very flexible, respectful in talking to people, a little bit of a sense of humor to make the person feel at ease. Do I get personal here? Someone like Ruben Abati, I used to enjoy him when he writes on newspaper, but seeing him on air, he looks very intimidating, making his guest uncomfortable. And I think that's not broadcasting. I'm sorry to say that. There are many ways a broadcaster have to be. Friendly, nice, but giving your point across, telling everyone that you know what you're doing. I think that's enough.
Thank you so much. Please, let's put our hands together for Mrs. Ochuko Orogun. Okay, and now I'm going to take questions. Just 4 questions. 4 questions. And preferably for each of our panelists. Have somebody here. How many questions do you have? 1 question. Comment. Okay, let's ask question first, and we can go to comments later. Thank you. Okay, who is asking the first question? Please say your name and the panelist you're directing your question to. Or if the questions are written down, I can take it. Somebody is raising up his hand here. The mic is not working.
Thank you very much, the panelists, organizers of this forum. I am Prince Victor Faizomo, and I'm the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Media. And let me just say that in journalism, I've put in about 2.5 decades, having worked in This Day, The Guardian, Daily Independent, and Daily Times. So I can be categorized as somebody who, in all my period in journalism, as a great media person. But there's a very disturbing trend in the areas of journalism and information management. Although it can come as a form of a question or a comment. It has to do or any of the panelists can pick up the issue. I am not directing it to anybody. It's just an observation. It is the issue of professionalism, where you have journalists working by the ethics of the profession, which is usually inculcated or derived from the level of education you have acquired in the areas of journalism. If you look at the press code, for you to practice as a journalist, you must have gotten the prerequisite qualification for you to be addressed as a journalist. But in the current trend, you have persons of different shades, of different fields, encroaching into the profession, thereby giving the profession not to, those who are in the profession now are not really those who are real professionals. Unlike where you have the law profession.
Okay, so you're speaking to quacks that now practice journalism. Your question is on qualification to become a journalist.
Yes. So what should be done to ensure that trend is checked?
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Sorry, if I should confirm, this question is directed to who? Anyone. Okay. You want to attempt the question, Mrs. Christine? Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, the SSA. What I would say is the new media or the social media have actually brought about a crop of persons. They call themselves citizen media. So you can pick your phone and the next thing you are doing a story. Very unfortunately, there's not much that we are communicating to these so-called Gen Zs. So there's not much that we are learning from them. Let's take a look at their use of grammar, for instance. Most of the time, it's out of shape and out of line. But so long as it's something to laugh about, they say it's flexible and all of that, at the end of the day, there's not much that we are gaining in terms of adding value to the society. So in that regard, I would say for those who are into social media, journalism, try and update or upgrade yourselves. And again, if you must do that, as many of you are doing now, what I would prescribe is decent journalism. I think that's what we should all accept. Anything short of that, propagation of violence, use of any manner of language, I do not think that edifies any society. Thank you.
Yeah, just quickly. Please, it is question and answer session. Let's try, if you're going to ask questions, just introduce yourself very well. Then make it straight to the point. That you could also ask, especially the guest speakers. They've addressed us. You can ask either Malcolm, Lady E, Peter, Woche, not necessarily the discussants. So your question can go to any of these persons. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this privileged opportunity to be here. I'd like to commend the organizers and especially Ruke again. It's unfortunate that I am Christy Jaho Ayenuku, Head Presentation Section, DBS Worry. All right, thank you very much. I really would have loved for the Commissioner, Aniagu, to have been here. And with due respect to the years, over the years we watched him, we saw him on AIT, and then before he came down, what was read to us was that the license came with certain guidelines. One of them is that the station newscasters must be dressed in the traditional attire or cultural attires of Delta State. Take your mind back to all the tribes we have here. Most recently, we had a visual posted to us of one of our newscasters who was done in a traditional, but the sleeve was close to what I'm putting on. And we're told that that is against the ethics, that is, at least the license that says traditional, you need to be covered and all that. And so you may call it on the sideline or just a joke, but somebody just whispered to me, Madam, you don't hear. We need to, I said, yes, you can now do bam shot and sparks on the news because we want to follow trend. There are ethics. And then the question on that one is, when you came with the license to say, this is the format, this is the in-house style of the dress on the news, are we supposed to wait for you to come back to redo or undo that? Or maybe the administrator, maybe the CEO or the general manager of his own discretion, comes up to say, okay, the trend are changing on CNN, you can see tank tops and all that, we just do that right now. Whether we like it or not, this is one profession where former Ruth Benemisi up here says, you don't arrive. We learn, we blend what some of the speakers have said, we evolve, we try to evolve. Yes, that is quite a challenge for some of us old school, but the ethics remain the ethics. And then we cannot run away from the fact that if there is no patronage and DBS Worry is not on Go TV or DSTV, you really expect that my children, the last of which is taking WAEC right now, that's in university. Mommy, say the truth. If you went to working day, will you watch the station? Will you listen to it? We get all of this. We can't say that we're not on the right platform and you say it's because self-development is very important. Some persons are doing it. And you expect that miracle will fall down. There are people right now who are saying that if they have the way, they will advise the Gen Zs, don't take up a job as a broadcaster if you must grow to become globally competitive in a government-owned station. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If I deduce the question from all you said, it is how can broadcasters evolve from what originally was the instruction handed down to them on how to dress in their presentation? I think you're the right person to answer that question.
All right, thank you very much. What is decent is what is decent. I would like to say that there is evolution in the world, and in the broadcast media, we are not exempted. True, at the inauguration and commissioning of the DRTV, the rule might have said, dress traditional. But dress traditional does not mean you should tie aquacha on your chest and leave your upper part bare. That's traditional. So you apply discretion, decency, what would appeal to a greater percentage of your viewers, and exercising discretion will determine how you should dress. So dressing traditional does not mean you should tie a gele that will make a short unappealing. Don't forget we're talking about TV and the optics. So decency, ethics, exercise of discretion, a bit of flexibility in administration is called for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll take all the questions at once. And please, when the mic gets to you, just go straight to the point. Go straight to the point with your question. We don't have much time.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon to the discussants and the panelists. My name is activist Kelvin Ejumudo. I'm the SSA to the Governor of Delta State on Human Rights. First, I would like to appreciate my big auntie, Auntie Oshigorogo Mingwoma. It's good to see you today after many years seeing you on screen. Well, my take is, my question, or perhaps my take is, you know, the media having engagement with government forces. You know, when you appear cheap to government functionaries, they assess you cheaply. Meaning, if you are coming for an engagement as a media expert, I think it's better you just go to on the job than unnecessary familiarity, looking for PRO. At the end of the day, they guide what you should say at the larger space. Like the Honorable Commissioner said, when you have the content, you get the traffic. Like Auntie said, there are people you like to see, the likes of Rufai, likes of Auntie on channels. You want to watch them talk because they don't compromise, they don't manage the facts. I've been issued before them. But when you begin to manage this fact as a media expert, the people watching begin to question your body language and will take a decision and act within. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have the questions compiled?
All right.
That was not a question, more of a contribution to all that have been said. But thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tony Luaka, the gentleman on and off your radio with the voice of Delta Asaba. My question is relating to something similar to what Rex said. we have vibrant artists, like we have the presenters, OAPs, and we complain all the time that, okay, these people are taking our jobs out of town, out of Delta, to Lagos and the likes. Now, I want to talk about artists because I have a program on radio. It's called Artist Corner, right, where I get to meet very creative artists. I meet a lot of good artists, but they don't have the platform. So my question is this. Is there a way that the broadcast outfits we have in Delta can have a synergy of some sort with P-Man in Delta so that we can actually project these people? I MC events and even shows that come from Lagos. Most times when I'm on this event, I only call Lagos artists, outside artists. We don't have, in America and the likes, when you get to see these shows, they open up these shows with homegrown artists. There has to be a synergy. So is there a way, my question is there a way we can have that synergy between the broadcast outfit we have in Delta State and musicians, talents that we have in Delta State to actually project them to the world? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Who is asking the next question? Okay.
My name now Jonathan Bichi. You can call me Daddy King as Chef Fene. Yes. Well, time no day. So I just want to ask something. When people know they look into, because DBS where they work, because charity they say begins at home. Before I go talk any other thing as regards every other organization, let me look at our own first. DBS. You get the way they take create DBS. That means you get the way government take establish DBS. When they take give them license to broadcast. Now, the things don't they evolve, things don't they change, things they go in a way when it be say, it can't be like say the way and the mindset when they take establish DBS is different from what they happen right now. Not be so. So now, well, they are not here, but at least the message should go. How DBS, a station like DBS, with all the manpower, the expertise, professionalism, the know-how, technical, if I work in CNN, to God, they will feel I'm doing voodoo. By the time they have a broken camera, and I take that camera and bring the reader in view on air, they will say it's voodoo. Because here in DBS, you see the camera bending like a grasshopper. And you as the cameraman, you will come, you will bend with the camera in order to take you in view and put you on sets. Now, things are evolving. Equipment are evolving. Human capital development. I paid myself to train myself and my colleague Jennifer Orubo, after my madam came from FCM Broadcast Academy, Lagos. Up till now, that's about 10 years gone. Nobody has asked us to go for announcers. There's a mid-class, and nobody has asked us. Training and retraining. We're doing our best, but government is not doing as much as we are putting in order to raise DBS, whether Warri or Asaba. What do we do at this critical point in time? I have data to run my platforms. She has data to run her platforms. But does the station has data to run its platform? Okay. Does the station has what it takes to run the station 24 hours? There are a lot of epileptic transmission. A lot of things is happening see, the truth is that how do we transmit under this new broadcast that we have found ourselves? I heard the house. Area.
Thank you very much. Please, because of time, we'll take just 3 questions more. 3 questions more.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. Yes. Thanks to the organizers. My questions are straight and just to the point. I'd like to go first to the area of digital world. I'm Jennifer Ubo, DBS Warri. I'd like to go to the area of digital world where the new media has taken the space. For us, as traditional mainstream media, where do we draw the line in the evolving digital world where we work in line with professionalism, not breaching the code and ethics of NBC, and also trying to make sure that we top the notch when it comes to media disinformation, dissemination, and impact of knowledge to our audience? That's my first question. The second one talked about creativity, flexibility in creativity. My HOP just made an instance of a newscaster that wore a cloth, not revealing, but innovative. To what level can flexibility in creativity end when it comes to creative programming and presentation? Then the third one talks about platform. I would like to disagree with some of the speakers. Talent is golden. Ideas are very essential. But I would like to draw here that the platform plays a critical and pivotal role.
or 10 years ago where internet come around, and you think you deleted that thing, there's something called the Wayback Machine. That thing will go uncover even what you have deleted. Today, I know how many persons, there was a young lady who was supposed to get a job. We did an investigation into her, and we discovered that she did some videos where it was revealing. That video is haunting her today. We fought a battle. I fought a case because I could see she was talented. But I had to fight a very tough case. You can see that she did it out of ignorance at the time. Nobody told her. But right now, ignorance is not what? Bliss. Ignorance is costly. So for music, the boys are just mentioned to me that, have you seen him use any naked women? Never. But he sells. Do you get it? That was part of the orientation I gave to them through the GG Factor Star Search. You don't have to do the most weirdest content before you can get traction. Your audience are here, know who they are, create content for them, and craft it accordingly. It's important. And then, somebody talk about data. So for data, for research, how many of you have your phones here? You have your WhatsApp app, isn't it? Have you noticed there's something called Meta AI? That's your go-to. That's your research button right there. She mentioned ChatGPT. Those are research tools. You have even now on Google browser, there's an automatic AI that just delivers for you. The question you should be asking yourself is, the data you want to spend, how important is it with regards to what you are looking for? Do you want to put your money specifically only in data that you'll be watching naked movies and videos, or do you want to put data towards your career where it really matters? Because many people go to stroll, you know how you did for Facebook? They just scroll, they go, data, they go, data, they go. Before you know what's happening, data is gone. So you got to ask yourself and control yourself, because data now consumption on the go. So discipline, priority is very important, and manage your time. Time management is very key.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for Lady E and, of course, Maupe Ogun Yusuf. Now back to the panelists. I think they've done justice to most of the questions that were asked. So as we round off of this panelist session, can you please, in about 10 seconds, your final words? Starting with Rex.
All right, thank you very much. I've loved the conversations that we've had. I just wanted to add something to what the young man who was asking the music collaboration question, he said he has a radio show that he does for musicians. I like that you're doing that. I also started a radio program that is for music business, because I find that there are a lot of opportunities now with big record labels coming into the country. There's such a thing as publishing, sync licensing, just avenues that artists can make money, because to promote yourself as an artist, you need funding. And we're in a world where there's indie record labels, people are doing their thing independently, but how do you fund it? So since you've already started a radio program, I think you need to find a way to educate the musicians that you're promoting as well, and come together, put up something. It could be a showcase night where they have an opportunity to perform. It could be in terms of seminars where you can get people who have the talent to, educate them some more, because I think it will go a long way, especially as a radio station, that you are driving change and impact in the society, especially as it concerns that particular industry that you're interested in. So that's what I would say about that.
Thank you so much. Please, let's put our hands together for Rex. And now moving on to Mrs. Christine Emetulu, the General Manager of DBS. Your final words.
All right. Once again, thank you very much for the conveners. At least it's a very good forum for us to have a coalition. So living here, we can better collaborate as media organizations towards enhancing the media space in Delta State. Let's be more professional. Resilience is also called for, while we're counting on the state government to ensure that our lot is improved as mainstream media broadcasters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for her. And of course, to our Mama Ochuko Rogu, that is retired but not tired, your final words, please.
You're making me look old, and I hate looking old. But anyway, just keep doing your best. make sure that all that you have, you put in, no matter what. Nobody can stop you from doing what you want to do as far as it's up to expectation. Be as good as possible. If you have to spend your whole salary, do it. It's for you and not for them. And give out the best. A lot of people want information. Give it to them. How many of you remember Fit and Beautiful? Yes. A lot of men learned how to put their socks together. Those simple little things really help. Just be yourself. That's it.
Thank you very much. And of course, EDK.
I mean, just to piggyback on what Madam Ochuko said, I feel like for a lot of, especially younger presenters, there is an opportunity for you to attend more things like this where you can learn from people who have been around a while and people who are maybe your contemporaries who are doing things as well. But the thing I must reiterate is whenever you want to do something, because it's very easy to say I'm in Delta State, so let me just only limit myself to my environment. I think, and I said this in an interview in 2017, and that's how I was found out and hired for the job I took on. You can get global best practices and implement them in your local market. There's no reason why, because somebody streams a station in Asaba, it won't sound as good as a station in the UK. There's absolutely no reason why. I feel like there is a thread to everything that's of quality, whether it's produced in China or it's produced in Warri. If something is of great standard, you will know. You can't contest it. And that's why, just to reiterate again, when I say that it's important that everybody evolves and embraces new tech, there's a foundation that's been laid for all of us. There are ethics to the things that we do, and there's a code to the things that we do, and there's especially a reason to the things that we're doing. We serve an audience, and it's always important to put them front and center in everything we're doing and ensure that at the end of the day, not only do we improve their lot, but we also improve ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much to the audience for seeing through to the end of this panelist session. It's been wonderful discussing and answering your questions. And it's an honor to have moderated this session. My name is Success David Chinuma, popularly known as the Numa. And can we please be on our feet and take a bow, my panelists? Okay, to continue the program, let's welcome NK.
Thank you very much. Can we please put our hands together for our panelists? And of course, our amiable moderator. Can we please put our hands together for them? Don't worry, we are wrapping up already. We are wrapping up already. We just want to play one tiny little video. Remember, we had Rufai Oseni and, of course, Ojiokpe, who had their videos here with us. But we want to play that of Ojiokpe right about now. We know her from What's Trending on Arise TV. Can we please have a video up real quick? It's a very short video, I assure you. It's a very short video. Can we have Ojiokpe's video right now?
Hello everyone, welcome to the Delta Broadcast Media. Everyone, welcome to the Delta Broadcast Media Conference. My name is Ojiokpe and I am the host of What's Trending on the Arise News channel and a proud daughter of Delta State. Today I'd like to talk about the role the Delta State government can play in supporting the development of mainstream media across the state. Now, the truth is, government support is essential, but it must go hand in hand with media independence. So how can the government help? First, through policy and regulatory support. This means creating fair regulations that protect press freedom and prevent censorship, as well as simplifying licensing processes, and making access to the broadcast spectrum affordable. Again, financial support is key. The government can offer grants or subsidies for public interest programming, especially content around health, education, and civil issues, or even tax incentives on equipment. Advertising can also ease financial pressure for media houses. So we really do encourage the government to place ads in our media houses. It can really go a long way. Thirdly, there is capacity building. Journalists need ongoing training, especially in ethics, digital reporting, and investigative work. The government can also help set up funds to help drive creative content and storytelling, especially in rural, underserved communities. The stories that come out from these underserved communities can really help to, try to drive in the sort of change that they need. I cannot.
Exactly. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Good. Mic check 1 2. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are outside today, Friday, the 16th of May, 2025, for the first of its kind happening in the city of Asaba, Delta State. It's the Delta Broadcast Media Conference, and the theme is Broadcast Media, Pathway to Unlocking Delta's Possibilities. We have a gathering of broadcast media professionals from across the state, from different major TV stations, radio stations, under one roof, discussing critical issues affecting the broadcast industry. My name is Fresh Prince from Echo 91.1 FM. I'm here with a veteran broadcaster, retired, not tired, OG in the game, like we Gen Z like to say it. Make some noise for Chief Ochukwu.
Yes.
Mama.
It's good to be here.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Thank you for being on our panel session.
Yes.
Hope you had a nice time.
Yes, very.
All right, real quick.
Brought back memories.
Real quick, right now, from everything we've discussed, what do you think the Nigerian broadcast industry needs right now moving forward to stay relevant?
With what has happened today, if there is a continuation and being able to get together all of these things that has been said, yes, there's a way forward. Yes.
Okay, so how do you think the broadcast industry is going to evolve in the nearest future from what you've seen?
With the old, blending with the new, and making sure there's retraining and retraining, it helps.
Nice.
Yes.
End of this conference. Remember, you can always take those pictures and, of course, tag or use the hashtag DBMC2025. We encourage you to take pictures, videos, more like take the action from what we've learned today from new media, if I may say so. Take pictures, videos, post on Instagram, post on X, on Facebook, with the hashtag DBMC. We'll be going on to take the vote of thanks. You can move around to fraternize. I understand that some persons are here who would like to say hello to each other. Those coming from Warri, those in Asaba as well. We can all just get to meet and greet before we have the vote of thanks. The DJ could help us with a little bit of a sound just to serenade the environment. Thank you very much.
Please, thank you.
Hello, my job here is very simple. I want to sincerely thank our very special guests and distinguished personalities who joined us for this first ever Delta Media Broadcast Conference. I want to thank His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, who was represented by the Honorable Commissioner for Roads, Rural Roads and Public Information, and all the general managers, our colleagues, government officials, and every other person. We want to say thank you and God bless you. I want to also thank the LOC members and our guests, particularly Mope Ogun Yusuf, who came all the way from Abuja. I want to say thank you, God bless you. Please look a day to us as we hope sincerely to host the second edition next year. Thank you and God bless.